All right, everybody, let's talk about music and being a wedding DJ. All right, everybody, before we start the video, please navigate down, hit that subscribe button, make sure you ding that notification bell as well. Also, make sure to like the video, and please, if you want to support the channel, head over to my Patreon page and subscribe. Now, this is kind of a really broad topic. I wanted to cover a few different things, and it just seemed more appropriate to put this all in one video. This kind of all really started over the past few days, and I've seen this actually many times. Certain Facebook groups of DJs, first asking, what do I play for, dinner? What do I play for a cocktail? What happens when I get this massive list of music from couples? And I want to talk a little bit more deeply into, this kind of conundrum of being a wedding DJ and music selection as a whole. Now, I personally started on, the high school dance circuit side when I was still in high school, over into college radio, into terrestrial radio at that point, and ultimately into clubs. Took a break and then got into wedding DJing. And, prior to all this, we're talking again circa 1988 to really, 1999, music selection was really kind of the preview of my personal likes and whatnot. The club is hiring me to be able to play particular, songs to kind of rock a crowd. And I was lucky enough when I was hitting the club circuit, and this is back in Washington, D.C. into the mid and late 90s, for the most part, I was able to be like, this is my style, my set. I was mostly old school hip hop and whatnot. And there were clubs that were specifically catered to that side. So there was a real natural fit for that. Then, of course, I took a break, came back as a wedding DJ, and that kind of, resets the bar of, what to play at a wedding as a whole. Now, I'm lucky enough. I really loved all genres of music, minus a couple here and there, of course. But, I really got into a lot of different things growing up. My mom was, a big disco and R&B and pop person. My dad was definitely more of a rock person. My sister, brought me into things like Queen and Prince. And, I got exposed to a whole lot of things really early on in life. And ultimately, that really kind of cultivated into a really broad set of music that I loved growing up, from everything from metal to, hip hop, to R&B, funk, soul, the works. So I was able to really progress into a mindset of how do I, get this crowd, on my side for weddings. But one of the most important aspects of all this is simply asking the wedding couple what they want, and I think there's this, some of it might be ego, some of it might be some, new people that are coming into the scene or just not really sure what to do. But, I think some people are just simply afraid to ask the wedding couple what they like and what they don't like. This is part of my repertoire of, I have a couple fill out forms. I have an option where, they allow me to select the entire playlist, and that's great. But some might want a more jazzy kind of cocktail, and somebody might want a more soulful dinner. Somebody might want Vitamin String Quartet. Somebody might want Metallica. I mean, you honestly just don't know until you ask. And because of that, I've definitely seen a lot of questions pop up over the years, and most recently just in the past few days of, hey, what are you playing during, dinner? What are you playing during the cocktail? And my response is, well, what does the wedding couple want? And again, ask the wedding couple what they want. It's not, of course, just for cocktail and dinner. This goes for dance as well. I have some couples who would rather, hear a total remix version of everything. Most of my couples are more originalists like I am. Some want more of the song played out. Some of them want a more quick mix kind of thing. Some people want EDM. Some people want hip hop. Some people don't want hip hop at all. Some people want, classic rock. Some people want swing music. There's a cadre of music to choose from. And I've been glad. I've, posted some of my, my gig logs over time. I've posted some of my playlists that I've done at weddings. And I've actually gotten comments from a few DJs, DJs I totally respect. They happen to be on YouTube, that, really enjoy the playlist that I put together. And to be honest, I don't try to default to a lot of what I would call the standards as much as possible. I like to try to experiment some. I like, to take some chances at a wedding, not, going too far deep over the end, definitely nothing like that. But, if a couple happens to like, say, Bruno Mars, it's like, well, can I take this back to a Marvin Gaye? Can I go, even further deeper into, let's say, like the Stax catalog or whatnot? Can I do something with this? And I'm always trying to think of that. So when I'm prepping my crates, I'll take a look at what they have as their likes and dislikes and whatnot, and I'll try to pull some relatively unique ones that I will try to experiment with if at all possible. Yes, and I don't particularly like doing block sets of music unless that's the only way the crowd is reacting, but I really like trying to find those common threads and really mix it up and produce something relatively unique to that wedding. I don't like the cookie cutter kind of way of doing things, so I do try to make all of these relatively unique. Sometimes I will integrate hip-hop and R&B a bit earlier than people might expect. I might push those classics further into the set. There's no rule here. You play your classic set early on, then you do this at this time and all that. Sure, some of the more grindy kind of stuff, maybe you do push that towards the end of the night. But the world is your oyster as a DJ to really kind of pick through the crowd and see what they really like, and to take some chances when you can. Now, another thing that I've run into Facebook groups is DJs complaining that the couples have sent them these huge 200, 400, 600 song lists out there, and they're kind of ranting and raving on how do I do this and whatnot. Breathe. Just breathe. Because in the end, you do not, of course, have to play all these songs. And what I personally do is, and I definitely get a lot of couples who are adamant about their music. It's the type of couple that I typically draw. It's like, listen, pick your top 5 out of this list. Beyond that, I want to, treat everything as a play if possible, with a couple caveats. Number one, if the crowd is going a certain direction and I know that you like, these particular genres or decades, that's an area that I can explore. And B, I want to still interject some of, my unique, capabilities into this as well. I've never had a problem with a couple be like, oh no, you can only play these songs and whatnot. They've hired a professional DJ, be it me or you. This is something you don't necessarily have to worry about. So, when you do get these lists, don't put all 200, 400, 600 songs into your crates and whatnot. And I know DJs who have, and I get it. There's this idea in your head that this is exactly what they like, and I know that this is something I can play to. It's a safe bargain to be able to do this. But again, this is maybe just me, but I want to throw a little bit of my creative spin on this, but not to the extent where I'm, dominating the playlist with only my songs. There's a really good creative way of, intermixing what they like, what the crowd's liking, and everything if it's something that they haven't selected, and just going with the flow. So in the end, I get it. Programming a wedding playlist can be a harrowing experience for some. Not everybody has this, affinity towards different genres. I definitely know a few DJs who only play some very, very specific things or whatnot. For those that are like that, it's time to broaden your horizons if you're going to be a wedding DJ. Sure, you can stay in some fairly safe lanes throughout, but you are going to find couples who, have a pop sensibility or have maybe a rock sensibility or whatever it is that's not your personal wheelhouse. It's time to get really used to it. Now, I know there's a lot of solutions out there now, including crate hackers, to really help you, sift through that. But I can't stress enough, and I've written about this, and I've done a video about this as well before, knowing your catalog, know what you're playing, understand. I had a wedding that turned all country, and I am not a country person by any stretch of imagination. But I took the time and researched, started learning what Texas renegade country and, bro country and all this, and, trying to get a little bit more of an understanding of more than just the few, superficial cuts that I knew. And even out of that wedding, I had people that, I would have never imagined come up to me and say, that was an amazing wedding, amazing music and all that. And honestly, I had just learned about this particular genre or these particular artists just recently. But with a little time and research, this is something you can absolutely do. But in the end, ask the couple. They're the ones who are going to give you the most direction of what they want for their wedding. Sure, asking some DJs will give you a few tips and pointers, but ask the couple. Don't be afraid. Well, there's a video, and I hope you liked it. You know, it's been a little while since I put some of these out. It's been really busy with Q and all that. We'll get into some more detail on that. But for now, hit that subscribe below, hit that notification bell as well, thumbs up, and help the algorithm. Head over to my Patreon page and subscribe if at all possible. Again, I hope you like these, and stay tuned for more.